Near Banbridge town in the county down, one morning in July, from a bohin green I was clearly seen as I went traipsing by. He stood quite still as if struck by a chill or a vision of ancient grace, and he gazed with a stare at my nut-brown hair till the blood rushed to his face. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no lad I've seen has a look so keen as I saw here in County Down. I gave no sign as he watched the line of my shadow as I passed, but I felt the heat of his gaze so sweet, and I knew the spell was cast. He gripped his walking stick with a hand so quick as he tripped o'er his feet. For a lad so bold, he was knocked from his hold by a girl that he chanced to meet. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no lad I've met hasn't a name to set against the star of the County Down. Now they say he's gone to the harvest fair with the heart all in a knot, to ask my name and to play the game and to find my humble cot. Well, let him come and let him drum his fingers on the door. If he's half the wit as he's got the grit, I might like him a wee bit more. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, ne'er a lad I've sought has a heart so caught by the star of the County Down. Snow on the heather, smoke from the roofs. I stand on the ridgeline, breathing the proof. Sky like a pale bowl, frost in my hair, name on my tongue tip, thin in the air. I call across the pines, he's yellow, high and wild and wide. If you're lost, then follow the sound. Let it guide you through the turning and gone. Wind takes the branches, braids them in song. Far in the darkness, something replies, echo or answer, tears in my eyes. Where are you now? I won't fall silent. Call across the pines, he's yellow, wild and wide. If you're lost, then follow the sound. Let it guide you through the night. Come home. Come home. The fire smokes black when she walks through the door. A shadow that stretches across the stone floor. She carries the staff, she carries the sight, a piece of the morning in the heart of the night. Satan, 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 Satan.
The staff hits the wood where the kings used to stand. Fate is a needle in a trembling hand. You asked for the rune, you asked for the flame, but you're too weak to carry the weight of your name.
Allah, the thread is unweaving. Allah, the truth is bereaving. The vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. She sees the high hall, she sees it in ash, the glint of the gold, the sting of the lash. She speaks to the dead, she drinks from the well. There are secrets the living are too frightened to tell.
Friends and companions, welcome back to another beautiful evening in the tavern. Hello, hello, hello. So very good to see you all. Welcome in, my friends, and yes, it is our beloved Lady of the Tavern's birthday. Sadly, she's not here, so I can't deliver all of your happy birthdays, But as soon as she is home, I will certainly deliver those unto you, my friends. Or unto her. Alright, let's see who all is in. Crystal, Milu, the bear, Erin, and Erin is, as I understand it, cooking alive. And then we have the Frostbeard and Tyson, Quirt, Milu, and the Shade Mechanic. Hello, my friends. Welcome in. So very good to see you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see who we have. Everywhere else, we have John and Fallen Crow over on the YouTube portal. Welcome in, my friends. And then we have Berkey, Seamus, Brian, and Crystal, and Cassie over on the Facebook portal. Hello, my friends. Good to see you all. Hello, hello. Berkey, you said, my dear friend, whom I've never met, may your health be restored and your spirits be high. They could not be higher. They could not be higher. Seamus, hello. Welcome in. I've seen you a lot in... I'm not sure if I've seen you in live story times before, but I do see you in comments of story times, so if you've been in before and I don't remember, I apologize. But welcome in. It's good to see you. 81 on the inside with AC on. Yeah, that's too hot. That's far too warm. It's been in the 80s and 90s here for the last 2 weeks, and it's murdering me. BRB feeling fuzzy. Well, don't do that, Milu. Darth Nexus, hello, my friend. Good to see you. Come in, grab a seat. But Cassie, hello. Berkey, hello. Seamus, hello. Crystal, hello. And Brian, hello. Teeth feel fuzzy. Well, you don't want fuzzy teeth either. Those are definitely not things that you want. Rain! Oh, I missed your name, but I did see you drop in earlier. Rain, hello, good to see you, welcome in. Alright, friends. Well, I think that we are going to have a beautiful day filled with lovely story time. Let's see. Tyson getting around in early. I can drink to that. It has been a little bit, Crystal, but life gets busy. That happens. Erin, I have 2 fans that blow on me as I sleep, and sometimes it's still too hot. I'm very excited. I get my final signing for the Coast Guard on Thursday. Huzzah! Congratulations, Crow. That's spectacular news. Oh, and then we got a round for the lady's birthday, too. We'll raise a glass to our wonderful lady of the tavern, who sustains us through all things. Sláinte, my friends. What is this? Is this? I think that's Tiger. Hail, wise barkeep, may I have a tankard of mead for the bar? You certainly may. Come on in and join us, Tiger. Sláinte. So very glad that you could drop in. Jody, hello, hello. Welcome in. Psycho raiding in. Coming in early. Welcome, welcome. We'll get Michael Psycho, our friend, a toot on the raid horn. Oh my. Our story time area is messy because I'm still cleaning up the tavern, so here we go, friends. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Frost, for that shout-out. Now, just for anyone who's never been in before, we open multiple portals into the tavern during story time. You can come in through TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or Kick, whatever is your preferred viewing platform. You can come in and join us for stories. And if you are on anything except TikTok, you'll be able to see the combined of all of the tavern folk over here. And if you are on the Facebook or the YouTube portals, you're going to be a little bit behind everybody else. So just get that out of the way early. Well, Tiger, welcome in. It's so very good to have you. I don't recognize your name. You may have been in before, But TikTok has been very slow recently, so it might have been a while since I've seen you. If you have been in before, welcome back. And if you... A drink on it? Well, certainly. I'll raise a glass to that. Sláinte. I got in my car to leave work and it was over 103 degrees. Wow, that's dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I have been on your video now. Well, with the welcome into the live story time. What we do during story time is I read you all a book and you relax and get ready for bed. We are in the midst, this is our family-friendly night, so we are in the midst of Eragon. The books we read during story time are voted on by the tavern folk, and then I read them. I don't pick any of the books. The ones that are on the list that get chosen, and the ones that get voted on, and the ones that get voted in, is chosen all by tavern folk, which is why we are in Eragon. So, I hope you all have been enjoying the story times. The lady's been working very hard on them. And yes, today is our beloved Lady of the Tavern's birthday, which we'll be celebrating more with her when she gets back. I need a drink of fire water. Well, oh, you said I need a strong butterbeer. Wonderful. And I need a drink of fire water. Spectacular. Oh dear, I've been reading my kids the Viking sagas. The Viking sagas are a bit of a that is a bit of a I don't want to say extreme because I learned them quite young. That is a very advanced read for children, but they are fascinating, especially when you get into like Egil's saga and Ragnar's saga and the Volsung saga is rough. Like there's a lot that goes on in the Volsung saga that is rough, but excellent. Keeping the traditional stories alive is important. It's bloody hot today. I was going to take a run, but it was just much too hot. I'll do it tomorrow. I've been doing all of my exercise in the tavern because it's just too damn hot. The ad I'm seeing here, oh, that's right, we need to run ads so that everybody doesn't get stuck in pre-rolls. I forgot about that. Well, Kid Faye. Oh, you mean you're reading like a children's version of the story? Is that what you mean, Tiger? Oh, kid-friendly version. Oh, I see. The lady and I are working on a children's series that goes through all of the Celtic and Scandinavian myths, or really Western Europe, but primarily focusing on Scandinavian and Irish to start with, because those are my people, that's where I'm from. My youngest is 6 and I have to be careful. Yes, certainly. It's important to keep cultural and traditional stories alive, but you also have to, have a slow lean in. The Shadow Legion, hello my friend, welcome in. Songbird, good lord, hello, let's see. Thank you for the heart me, the Go Popular, the You're Awesome, the Rose, the Press Start, the Live, the Puff, the TikTok, and the Love You So Much. It's very good to see you, Songbird. Grab your seat, settle in. We'll be getting into story time here in just a moment. Molly Sue, hello. Froyo sounds delicious right now with how hot it is. Absolutely the case. But yeah, the lady and I are working on a children's series. Who knows how long it'll be until we get it out. But we're working on a children's series, and eventually it'll deal with cultural stories, cultural traditions, and things like that. So we're doing 2 different sets. Well, technically 3. So we're doing a novelized version of Celtic and Norse myth. These are projects we're working on. I don't know when they'll be done. I shouldn't even talk about them because they could be years. We've been working on some of these for years and we're not even close to being done. So don't get too excited about anything I say. But we're working on a children's series around a character that we've created, who's sort of like I don't even know how to explain it, but there'll be some that are written like The Hobbit, so they're more like old children's novels, and then there are some that are uh, some that are more like modern traditional children's books. I just bought a book made by a Twitch streamer, and I can't wait to read it. Well, excellent, Shadow Legion. That's good. What is Froyo? Froyo is sort of like low-fat ice cream, but you can put a bunch of stuff on it. This is true, but when Rio gets older, he will learn more. Can I ask for a shout-out for the mini Viking Rio, please? Is Rio your son or your child? If so, yes. Hello, Rio. Good. I hope that you're behaving for your parents. Yes. Well, Rio, I hope that you are behaving for your parents. You're learning well, you're staying disciplined, and doing everything you can to become a mighty warrior and scholar. Remember, to be a proper warrior, as our Scandinavian Celtic ancestors were, you don't just build your body, you build your mind. Because you can't just be a strong warrior, you have to be a smart warrior. Yeah, Froyo is one of those guilty pleasures. It's a very American thing. I was not aware of it until I started living in California. But yes, I was thinking of reading it on stream because I asked. Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful way to promote work that you like. If I had spent 5 seconds thinking about the word, probably would have known what it was. Well, you know. He made a song for the Norse gods for his school. Well, that's very neat. How very creative. It was great. Put some gummy bears in it. Oh, Erin, are you the one who started the conversation about Froyo? You have more willpower than me. If someone were to ask me about my book, they would be a helpless victim for 3 hours for every single information. Well, the problem is that I did that when we first started writing these. So the lady and I first started working on 3 of the 5 projects we're currently working on 2 years ago. And when we started working on them, we got everybody very excited. But then finances didn't allow for us to keep working on the projects. And then, family things happened and so on and so forth. There was just a bunch of stuff that happened. So now I try to keep our projects close to my chest until they're almost done. Because I'm excited for them. Like, especially Elizabeth, hello, good to see you, welcome in. Never doubt an old swordsman, it takes a long time to become. That's true, Tyson. Oh, by the way, Tyson, hang on. I'm gonna pop you and Erin's, enjoy your mead of the Morning Star there. You and Erin's resubs again. Hello, Berkey, my friend. You did miss it, but I'm happy to do it again. Emerald, hello. I had a message from you, and apparently I opened it, and then I never went into it. And then when I went back in, it wouldn't let me message you back. So I don't know what was going on there. For a sec, because what'll happen sometimes is people will message me, and then I don't get to them quick enough, and they block me. I've had that happen a bunch of times. So I thought that's what would happen. I hope that's not what happened. But I do apologize for not responding to the message sooner. I don't know if something happened, but I will get to your message soon if you would still like me to respond. I like your stories. Well, I'm glad, Elizabeth. I see you in the comments all the time. I'm glad you enjoy yourself. What was I saying? I did a primary. You did, and I appreciate that. The tips to the Tavern Keeper are always appreciated. My account got suspended. My preferred name was in my. Oh, I see. That will happen. That will happen. I have a legal name in the UK and I have a legal name in the United States. And sometimes I will have account problems because the two things do not line up. Because when I was a boy, my grandfather changed my name while I was living with him, and my mother had a name that she had given me on my birth certificate, and they don't line up. So sometimes I have similar issues. I'll be back and forth. I'm currently working on my contest submission. Fire away, Frost. I can't wait to see it. It's like a freeze road by work. Rio got second place. He's so proud. As you should be very proud. Your projects, yes. The the lady and I started a bunch of these projects, and then again, like there were some financial issues that hit, and then we had some family things that happened. So we have been working on the children's book series, my Book of Grimm young adult series, and our Creatures of Yggdrasil sort of. It's like a novelized version of the creatures that exist in Norse mythology. These are stories that we've been working on for the last 2 years. And then we're also working on Twisted Fates, which is an original story written by myself and the lady. And then we're also working on a novelized version of Norse mythology. So those things have all been going on we've been working on them for ages. And I don't know when they're going to be done. And so I don't want to get people hyped up about them until they're close to being done, because I don't know how long it's going to take me to finish them. I don't leave Canada, no problem for me. Contest. So we are, I suppose I haven't talked about this in a while. Thank you, Bear, I appreciate you. So, Berkey, I'm actually in the process of recording Treasure Island as an audiobook. The lady and I are in the process of doing that. So Emerald, to answer your question, we are in the process of every month I put out a writing prompt for the community, and at the end of this year, all of the winners of that contest will be published together in a Tavern Tales collection that will be organized by the lady and I, and then also include some stories from she and I. I got second place because Mummy, even if I don't win, I still get bigger inside, and I can try again. That is the right attitude to have. Alright, friends over on Twitch, we're going to run ads real quick. We will be right back. It'll be 3 minutes, and then we'll get a whole hour without them. I do apologize, Twitch makes us do it, but if we don't do it, then everybody gets stuck in ad hell, and it's terrible. So we're going to run those very quickly over on the Twitch portal. When we get back, we will start our adventures with Eragon. So, bear with me for a minute, friends, and we will be right back over on Twitch. For everybody else, will still be here. So, Rain, all of the details on the Tavern Tales writing contests are over in the guild. And I can grab a link for that real quick. Joker, hello, my friend. Very good to see you. Oh, thank you, Frost. You beat me to it. Yeah, but for everyone, there is the guild. It's over on Discord. So for anyone who is interested in joining, there are all sorts of things that go on in the guild. We have a bunch of my cultural stories, resources, as well as recipes and discussions around things. I love the Raven Tales you made on here, but we need words. Joker, you said, your father passed away yesterday. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. What was your father's name, Joker? You got two of my sons wanted to be travel warriors. I see. Father's name was Jim. Well, everyone, we're going to take a quick minute. We're going to raise a glass to the fiend Joker's father, Jim. Great man, I'm sure he was. Loving father, loving husband. And now he's up there telling stories around some other fire. So, to Jim, my friends, Slancha. And you have condolences coming in from all over, Joker. Also, for anyone who would like to join the guild over on TikTok, there it is. Did you post the winners for the last contest, or did I just miss it? You didn't miss it. I'll have them by this Friday, Jody. We had another. I'm not going to keep making excuses. We had something come up here at home, and it delayed me again. I don't want to be delayed anymore. I'm way behind on that, so I do apologize. But we'll have it this week. There was a bunch of family stuff that happened, and it's taken care of. But I should have all of the things by this week. Marsha, you said hello from Chile, Colorado. Hope all is well with you and yours. I'm ready for a relaxing evening by the fire with you. We'll welcome in Marsha. We're glad to have you. Rio wants to be a Jarl, thanks to you. Odin, help me. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, they say. It takes a lot of time and effort to be a leader of people, but all you have to do is be earnest and be strong, and people will follow you naturally. Hello, I've been waiting on TikTok, on YouTube, but it still says waiting. And TikTok and YouTube are both up, Stephanie. Esther, hello, good to see you. Welcome in. Life happens. I know, Frost. The delay on this one has been embarrassing for me. There's been so much going on. Well, Joker, I'm glad you could come in and share the celebration of the life of your father with us. That is appreciated. I'm glad that you dropped by, even though you've had such a thing happen in your life. But I hope that a little bit of story time, some songs and whatnot will help balm the pain a little bit. And we're glad to have you, Joker. We're glad to have you. Seamus even sends a little emoji hug to you. Yeah, Una and the fur babies are all well. The cats are over there. The dog is over there. The boy is in his room trying to avoid finishing his last week of schoolwork. So, things are all as they should be. All right, my friends. Well, I think that now is a great time. We've got a round bought by Crystal, so raise a glass to Crystal, everyone. The way the rounds are going around and the glasses being raised, I'm just glad the portals get everyone home safe. As am I, Tyson. As am I. And then another round by Emerald Lady Jody, giving everybody a round, raise a glass. The lady of the tavern has not yet gotten to experience a birthday, because sadly she had work out of the house today. And the lady and I don't take our birthdays off from work. So when she gets home, I will be making her some breakfast for dinner. We'll be having homemade French toast, and I will also be making homemade strawberry milk for her and the boy as a part of their as a part of her birthday, because that's what she wanted. I asked her what she wanted to eat for her birthday, and she said she would like French toast with strawberries, so that's what she'll be having. How much of the reading did I miss? Apparently, you didn't miss anything, Stephanie. We're just now getting started. Barkeeps are being put to work tonight. Yes, indeed. Elsie says, Wolf, and hello to the fur kids. Excellent. Yes, it's the lady of the tavern's birthday, Esther. Stephanie, thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate you for that. Okay, let's go ahead, and I'm on my way with a plate and fork and glass. I'll put pictures up in the tavern. We have indeed been waffling. A good amount of waffling. I offer bags of gold for everyone to enjoy, all from a 6-year-old warrior Jarl. Thank you, Tiger, I appreciate it. Alright, so, for anyone who has not been with us, we are a good deals away into Eragon. We're probably, I'd say we're about a third of the way through. Good night, longer work days ahead. It feels like now that a manager was put on administrative leave, we're still short 2 people. I'm so sorry to hear that, Cassie. I hope that you rest well, that you have a fine day at work tomorrow, and I hope that you have a good night, and that your dreams may be sweet and you'll rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day. I will certainly wish her a happy birthday from you, Esther. When she gets home, you guys will likely get to say happy birthday to her. But just so you all know, as soon as she gets home, I'm gonna go and dote on her. So wherever we are when she gets here, I will abandon you all. Only this once. We've been taking all the ladies' waffles. My streak is secured. I'll keep an eye on YouTube for a bit if anyone needs me. Thank you, Milo. I appreciate you. Dang, I wish I had a way to show you my drinking vessels. Well, Marsha, you can join the guild and show over there. And then we also have a Black Dragon Tavern Facebook group if you'd like to drop it there. I think that sounds fair to abandon us for that. I certainly hope so. Castle, is there an Eragon movie that ties into the book? There is not. We do not talk about the Eragon movie, Esther. I may not be here. I'll be heading for my catnap. That's all right. You need to make sure that you're well rested and healed. Wish her a happy birthday from me and my wife and our 3 kids. I certainly will, Tiger. I certainly will. Got my streak, so I'm on the tiki-talk. I appreciate you, Aaron. And big shout-out to all the barkeeps who keep us safe and on track around these parts. I shall be contently forsaken there. Did I miss something that you said, Crow? I apologize if I did. The tavern is bustling tonight. Which, by the way, everyone, if I miss something that you've said and something you want to make sure that I read, don't hesitate to post again if you have to repeat yourself. I know it's a little bit annoying, but don't worry about annoying me if you want to make sure you get something seen. I don't ignore messages. If you say something stupid or out of line, I address it. And if you have just a regular question or anything like that, I address it. I don't ignore anyone. On purpose. Okay, so when we last left off, Eragon and Brom were traveling to try and find the creatures that attacked Eragon's uncle and killed him and burned down their farm. Eragon has learned quite a bit about himself, and where we are now, they had just fought some Urgles, and Eragon has learned how to use magic. They've just resupplied, and Brom has just started teaching Eragon to fight with a real sword. They've been using practice swords up to this point. This is Eragon, Tiger. We actually just did Lord of the Rings a little while back. Of course not, Sotog. I'd never ignore you all. You're the lovely patrons of my tavern. How could I possibly ignore you? I honestly don't remember the movie. That's for the best, Erin. I did see the movie once. It wasn't that good. The movie is dreadful. There are some folk who like the movie, and you're allowed to like it. No accounting for taste, but you're allowed to like it. The Eragon movie is one of the worst adaptation that has ever existed. Sorry I'm late. I napped after my therapy today and forgot to set an alarm to wake up. That's all right, Maddie. Everyone was wondering where you were, though. Everyone thought that you had disappeared. Milo, I was actually just talking to the lady about this the other day. I have not updated the emotes on anything in forever. We need to, because we have so many more people in here than we did when we first... A lot of those emotes were made ages ago, and I didn't ever think anybody was going to care about them or use them. Nope, it's about going to see the birthday... Oh, I see, Crow. Fair enough. Matty is alive. I'm not a bother. If anyone ignores me, I'm the ghost. That's right. Esther made herself a ghost, so if anybody ignores Esther, it's because she is in ghost form. There are newer ones on Twitch. The lady just recently did those. I think. I don't know. She does all of anything that has anything to do with art. Yeah, the nervous, like the freaking out dragon. That's one of the ladies' favorites too. But yeah, the Eragon movie is objectively, it's a terrible adaptation. It's not well made. And a total waste of Jeremy Irons, by the way. Jeremy Irons plays Brom. And it is an absolute waste of Jeremy Irons. But it has some good things, but it's just overall, it's not a good film at all. Sounds like a cool book to read. Eragon is one of my favorite young adult fantasy novels, period. It's very good. Elsie is not a ghost. Esther is a ghost. But Elsie is still not in ghost form, at least as far as I'm aware. Exactly, Castle, ghost form. Don't get Tom and Rio started on Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is our favorite around the tavern. We love this. Eragon, the book, is exceptional. The film is not really all that great. The film could have been better. All right, friends, let's begin. We are on chapter something. I'm not going to count the chapters again. But we are on A Song for the Road. The next day, while they were riding, Eragon asked Brom, "What is the sea like?" "You must have heard it described before," said Brom. "Yes, but what's it really like?" Brom's eyes grew hazy, as if he'd looked upon some hidden scene. "The sea is emotion incarnate. It loves, hates, and weeps. It defies all attempts to capture it with words, and rejects all shackles. No matter what you say about it, there is always that which you can't. Remember what I told you about how the elves came over the sea?" "Yes." "Though they live far from the coast, they retain a great fascination and passion for the ocean. The sound of crashing waves, the smell of salt air, it affects them deeply and has inspired many of their loveliest songs. There is one that tells of this love, if you want to hear it." So this is interesting, just as a random side note. Do you do audiobooks? I know Rio would love sagas from you. So the lady and I are working on some audiobooks. We're doing Treasure Island right now, but I've had a lot of requests for the Irish histories and folklores, as well as for the sagas. So certainly at some point we will. We try to make them high quality, so they take a while to get done. But we are working on all of those for people to just be able to access for free. It takes a while because, yeah, obviously we have to work that into our work schedule, but we are working on them, yeah. I was going to crochet while listening, but my yarn has decided to dine me with knots, and I swear I'm about to take the scissors to it. The film is rubbish. It is absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. My book is coming pretty handy as well, and I'm coming up with a bunch of new chapters. Excellent, Joker. I can't wait to see what you work on. Okay, I don't think I missed anyone else. I hate when Yarn does that. It's incredibly frustrating. I've never knitted, but I used to be able to crochet. I probably still could. And it's frustrating when things get all tangled up. Seems like it's just worse and worse. It's funny you say Treasure Island. Barry's story is inspired by that, and that kept me up last night. That's funny. That's funny, Matty. Did you miss my toast? I may have. Let's see. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, may I make a toast to the story keeper here, please? Your good health, sir, Skull. Oh, well, thank you kindly, Tiger. Slanche Stadsche, my friend. Sorry, guys, I mentioned a couple of times I have my sister down for overnight visit, so I'll be in and out. She will interrupt me. That's all right, Bear. What do we say? Family is incredibly important, so make sure you pay her mind. And send the taverns love. I tried crocheting at rugby yesterday, but it was so windy, and it was at the end of a skein, so it was more like a flying gun. That's funny, Mila. That's funny. It's being very naughty or naughty. Depends on if you're on Book Talk or if you're at home, right? What I was going to say is that this is interesting because you can tell how much of Pellini's writing, especially in his early books, was inspired by Lord of the Rings. Because this note of elves loving the sea that's straight out of Tolkien. And because you have to remember, Christopher wrote this when he was like 14 years old. And Lord of the Rings was one of his favorite series when he started writing. So, Matty's I'm on only books. I'm Scot, but I teach my kids the Norse gods. See, I grew up in Ireland, and my family are Irish and Scandinavian from north of Oslo in Norway, the Faroe Islands, and Southern Ireland, specifically in like County Wicklow, Limerick, and Cork is where my grandfather's family are from. I turn my skeins into pull balls or cakes before I work on a project. That's like prepping the surface before you paint. You're making sure that it turns out okay. Only books, yeah. That's what Matty is on only books. To be fair, the lady and I are probably on only books too, if we're being honest. If that is a thing. Alright, let's continue. Sorry, I got distracted. I would, said Eragon, interested. Brom cleared his throat and said, I will translate it from the ancient language as best I can. Won't be perfect, but perhaps it will give you an idea of the original sound. He pulled Snowfire to a stop and closed his eyes. He was silent for a while and then chanted softly. O liquid temptress, neath azure sky, your gilded expanse calls me. For I would sail ever on, were it not for the elven maid who calls me. She binds my heart with a lily-white tie, never to be broken by the sea, ever to be torn twixt the trees and waves. The words echoed hauntingly in Eragon's head. There's much more to that song. The Du Silbena Datia. I've only recited one of its verses. It tells a sad tale of two lovers, a Kalma, a Kalam, and Nuada. They were separated by the sea, by longing for the sea. The elves find great meaning in the story. It's beautiful, said Eragon simply. The spine was a faint outline on the horizon when they halted that evening. When they arrived at the spine's foothills, they turned and followed the mountains south. Eragon was glad to be near the mountains again. They placed comforting boundaries on the world. 3 days later, they came to a wide road rutted by wagon wheels. This is the main road between the capital, Ruben, and Tyrion, said Brom. It's widely used and a favorite route for merchants. We have to be more cautious. This isn't the busiest time of year, but a few people are bound to be using the road. Days passed quickly as they continued to trek along the spine, searching for the mountain pass. Eragon could not complain of boredom. When not learning the elven language, he was either learning how to care for Saphira or practicing magic. Eragon also learned how to kill game with magic, which saved them time hunting. He would hold a small rock on his hand and shoot it at his prey. was impossible to miss. As a result of his efforts, the results of his efforts roasted over the fire each night. And after dinner, Brom and Eragon would spar with swords, and occasionally fists. The long days of strenuous work stripped Eragon's body of excess fat. His arms became corded, and his tan skin rippled with lean muscle. Everything about me is turning hard, he thought dryly. Then they finally reached the pass. Eragon saw that a river rushed out of it and cut across the road. "This is the Torque," explained Brom. "We'll follow it all the way to the sea." "How can we?" laughed Eragon. "It flows out of the spine in this direction. It won't end up in the ocean unless it doubles back on itself." Brom twisted the ring on his finger. "Because in the middle of the mountains rests the Wyrdark Lake. A river flows from each end of it, and both are called Toark. We see the eastward one now. It runs to the south and winds through the brush until it joins Leona Lake. The other goes on to the sea." After 2 days in the spine, they came upon a rock ledge from which they could see clearly out of the mountains. Eragon noticed how the land flattened in the distance, and he groaned at the leagues they still had to traverse. Brom pointed. "Down there, and to the north, lies Tierim. It's an old city. Some say it was where the elves first landed in Alagasia. The citadel has never fallen, nor have its warriors ever been defeated." He spurred Snowfire forward and left the ledge. It took them until noon the next day to descend through the foothills and arrive on the other side of the spine, where the forest land quickly leveled out. Without the mountains to hide behind, Saphira flew close to the ground, and every hollow and dip in the land had to conceal herself. Beyond the forest, they noticed a change. The countryside was covered in soft turf, and heather that their feet sank into. Moss clung to every stone and branch, and lined the streams that laced the ground. Pools of mud pocked the road where horses trampled the dirt. Before long, both Brom and Eragon were splattered with grime. "Why is everything green?" asked Eragon. "Don't they have winter here?" "Yes, but the season is mild. Mist and fog rolling from the sea keep everything alive. Some find it to their liking, but to me it's dreary and depressing." When evening fell, they set up camp in the driest spot they could. As they ate, Brom commented, You should continue to ride Kadok until we reach Tirim. It's likely that we'll meet other travelers now that we're out of the spine, and it will be better if you are with me. An old man traveling alone will raise suspicions. With you at my side, no one will ask questions. Besides, I don't want to show up at the city and have someone who saw me on the trail wonder where you suddenly came from. Will we use our own names? Asked Eragon. Brom thought about it. We won't be able to deceive Jayot. He already knows my name, and I think I trust him with yours. To everyone else, I will be Neil. You will be my nephew, Evan. If our tongues slip and give us away, it probably won't make a difference. But I don't want our names in anyone's head. People have an annoying habit of remembering things they shouldn't. Thank you kindly, Tiger. Raise a glass from Tiger, my friends. Sorry, been doing 10 night shifts in one go, so not the sharpest sword. That's all right. We're allowed to be a bit tired when we have work. Victor Maddox, hello from Alaska. You might be the first folk ever to drop in. from Alaska. Victor, welcome in. So very glad you could join us. Here's to me and Matty for reaching our 70 streams. Good Lord, Matty and Bear on 70 streams. Thank you for that, my friend. Slancha. Very, very good. I will make sure she gets all of the happy birthdays when she gets home, Matty. All of them, indeed. I was having issues with the sewing machine thread messing up. Finally broke down and bought a new sewing machine. No issues since. It was my mom's machine since about 40 years old, so it was the timer. Oh, I see, I see. That will happen. Molly Sue, have a good night. Rest well. I'm so glad you were able to join us. Hope you have a wonderful evening and that you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day. Don't forget the kids. They wish her the many returns from the gods. I will certainly make sure that she knows. All right, friends, let's see. That was one chapter. Let's see how long the next chapter is going to be. I think this next chapter is actually quite a bit longer. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just... Oh no, the next chapter is quite short. But the chapter after that is quite a bit longer. Alright, let's get through this short chapter and then we'll be... I saw that on the Grumpy Dragon and I DM'd her earlier this morning. I don't know who was first though. Well, of course I was first because I happy birthdayed her at like 12:02 a.m. our time. And the boy was second, but Matty, you were probably a close third. I enjoy the stories. I can almost imagine what the characters would be like and how you change your voice when the other characters speak. You inspire me to believe I'm going to start reading more instead of movies. Much respect. Well, Justin, I'm glad. And I'm glad you enjoy yourself. Stories are spectacular things that can paint all through the mind, and it is a grand and glad thing when folk take up more stories into their hearts. So for the most part, she's flying, Emerald, but when they are in areas that are open, she gets onto the ground and hides. So it's a little bit of both. Now get the pillow ready for errands. Well, she hadn't had a birthday yet by my time, Bear. I can't compete with a time traveler. All right, let's continue. A taste of Terim. After 2 days of traveling north towards the ocean, Saphira sighted Terim. Heavy fog clung to the ground, obscuring Brom's and Eragon's sight until a breeze blew west and blew the mist away. Eragon gaped as Terim was suddenly revealed before them. Nestled by the edge of the shimmering sea were proud ships. Were docked with furled sails. The surf's dull thunder could be heard in the distance. Just a moment, friends. The city was contained behind a white wall 100 feet tall and 30 feet thick. with rows of rectangular arrow slits lining it and a walkway on top for soldiers and watchmen. The wall's smooth surface was broken by two iron portcullises, one facing the western sea and the other opening south to the road. Above the wall and set against the northeastern section rose a huge citadel built of giant stones and turrets. In the highest tower, a lighthouse lantern gleamed brilliantly. The castle was the only thing visible over the fortifications. Soldiers guarded the southern gate, but held their pikes carelessly.
"This is our first test," said Brom. "Let us hope they haven't received reports of us from the Empire and won't detain us. Whatever happens, don't panic or act suspiciously."
Eragon told Zafira, "You should land somewhere now and hide. We're going in."
Sticking your nose where it doesn't belong again,
she said sourly. "I know, but Brom and I do have some advantages most people don't. We'll be all right."
If anything happens, I'm going to pin you to my back and never let you off.
I love you too.
Then I will bind you all the tighter.
Eragon and Brom rode towards the gate, trying to appear casual. A yellow pennant bearing the outline of a roaring lion and an arm holding a lily blossom waved over the entrance. As they neared the wall, Eragon asked in amazement, "How big is this place?"
"Larger than any city you have ever seen,"
said Brom. At the entrance to Terim, the guards stood straighter and blocked the gate with their pikes. "What's your name?" one of them asked one of them in a bored tone.
"I'm called Neil,"
said Brom in a wheezy voice, slouching to one side, an expression of happy idiocy on his face. "And who's the other one?" asked the guard.
"Well, I was just getting to that. This would be my nephew, Evan. He's my sister's boy, not a..."
The guard nodded impatiently. Yeah, and your business here?" "He's visiting an old friend," supplied Eragon, dropping his voice into a thick accent. "I'm along to make sure he don't get lost, if you get my meaning. He ain't as young as he used to be. Had a bit too much sun when he was younger. Touch of brain fever, you know." Brom bobbed his head pleasantly. "Right, go on through," and the guard waving his hand and dropping his pipe. "Just make sure you don't cause any trouble." "Oh, we won't," promised Eragon. He urged Kadok forward and they rode into Teem. The cobblestone street clacked under the horses' hooves. Once they got away from the guards, Brom sat up and growled.
"Touch of the brain fever, huh?"
"Well, I couldn't let you have all the fun," teased Eragon. Brom harumphed and looked away. The houses were grim and foreboding. Small, deep windows let in only sparse rays of light. Narrow doors were recessed into buildings. The tops of roofs were flat except for metal railings, and all were covered in slate shingles. Eragon noticed that the houses closest to Terim's outer wall were no more than one story, but the buildings got progressively higher as they went in. Those next to the citadel were the tallest of all, though insignificant compared to the fortress. "This place looks ready for war," said Eragon. Brom nodded.
"Teem has a history being attacked by pirates, Urgles, and other enemies. It has long been the centre of commerce. There will always be conflict where riches gather in such abundance. People here have been forced to take extraordinary measures to keep themselves from being overrun. It also helps the Galbatorix, gives them soldiers to defend their city."
"Why are some of the houses higher than the others?"
"Look at the citadel," said Brom, pointing. "It has an unobscured view of Teem. If the outer walls were breached, archers would be posted on all the roofs. Because the houses in front of the outer wall are lower, the men farther back could shoot over them without fear
of hitting their comrades. Also, if the enemy were to capture one of those houses with their own archers on them, it would be an easy matter to shoot them down.
I've never seen a city planned like this, said Eragon in wonder.
Yes, but it was only done after Tiam was burned to the ground by a pirate raid,
commented Brom as they continued up the street. People gave them searching looks, but there was not an undue amount of interest. Compared to our reception at Daret, we've been welcomed with open arms. Perhaps Tiam has escaped notice by the Urgles, thought Eragon. He changed his opinion when a large man shouldered past them, a sword hanging from his waist. There were other subtler signs of adverse times. No children played in the streets, people bore hard expressions, and many houses were deserted, with weeds growing from cracks in their stone-covered yards. It looks like they've had trouble, said Eragon.
The same as everywhere else, said Brom grimly. We have to find Jayot.
They led their horses across the street to a tavern and tied them to the hitching post.
The green chestnut. Wonderful,
muttered Brom, looking at the battered sign above them as he and Eragon entered the building. The dingy room felt unsafe. A fire smouldered in the fireplace, yet no one bothered to throw more wood on it. A few lonely people at the corners nursed their drinks with sullen expressions. A man missing 2 fingers sat at a far table, eyeing his twitching stumps. The bartender had a cynical twist to his lips and held a glass in his hand that he kept polishing, even though it was broken. Brom leaned against the bar and asked,
Do you know where we can find a man called Jayot?
Eragon stood at his side, fiddling with the tip of his bow by his waist. It was slung on his back, but right then he wished it were in his hand. The bartender said in an overly loud voice, Now why would I know something like that? Do you think I keep track of every mangy lout in this forsaken place? Eragon winced as all eyes turned toward them. Brom kept talking smoothly.
Could you be enticed to remember?
He slid some coins onto the bar. The man brightened and put his glass down. Could be, he replied, lowering his voice, but my memory takes a good deal of prodding. Brom's face soured, but he slid more coins onto the bar. The bartender sucked in one side of his cheek undecidedly. All right, he said finally, and he reached for the coins. But before he touched them, a man missing 2 fingers called from the table. Gareth, what in the blazes do you think you're doing? Anyone on the street could tell him where Jayod lives. What are you charging him for? Brom swept the coins back into his purse, and Gareth shot a venomous look at the man at the table, then turned his back on them and picked up the glasses again. Brom went to the stranger and said,
Thanks. The name's Eel. The name's Neil. This is Evan.
The man raised his mug to them. Martin. Of course, I'm at Gareth. His voice was deep and rough. Martin gestured at some empty chairs. Go ahead and sit down if you don't mind. Eragon took the chair and arranged it so his back was to the wall, and he faced the door. Martin raised an eyebrow, but made no comment.
You just saved me a few crowns,
said Brom. My pleasure. Can't blame Gareth, though. Business hasn't been doing well lately. Martin scratched his chin. Jayod lives on the west side of town, right next to Angela, the herbalist. Do you have business with him?
Sort of,
said Brom. Well, he won't be interested in buying anything. He just lost another ship a few days ago. The Brom latched on to the news with interest.
What happened? It wasn't Urgles, was it?
No, said Martin. They've left the area. No one's seen them in almost a year. It seems they've all gone south and east. But they aren't the problem.
See, most of our business is through sea trade. And I'm sure you know, well, he stopped to drink from his mug. Starting several months ago, someone's been attacking our ships. It's not the usual piracy, because only ships that carry goods of certain merchants are attacked. Jayud's one of them. It's gotten so bad that no captain would accept those merchants' goods, which makes life difficult round here. Especially because some of them run the largest shipping businesses in the Empire. They're being forced to send goods by land. It's driven costs painfully high, and their caravans don't always make it. Do you have any idea who's responsible? There must be witnesses, said Brom. Martin shook his head. No one survives the attacks. Ships go out and then disappear. They're never seen again. He leaned toward them and said in a confidential tone, the sailors are saying that it's magic. He nodded and winked and leaned back. Brom seemed worried by his words. What do you think? Martin shrugged carelessly. I don't know, and I don't think I will unless I'm fortunate enough to be on one of the ships that's captured. Are you a sailor? Asked Eragon. No, snorted Martin, though I look like one. Captains hire me to defend ships against pirates, and those thieving scum haven't been very active lately. Still, it's a good job. But a dangerous one, said Brom. Martin shrugged again and downed the last of his beer. Brom and Eragon took their leave and headed to the west side of the city, a nicer section of Tame. The houses were clean, ornate, and large. People in the streets wore expensive finery and walked with authority. Eragon felt conspicuous and out of place. And so ends... I want to know what chapter we're on. Let's see, we are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're on chapter 25 now. We just finished chapter 24. Rick, hello, good to see you, welcome in. Clifford, hello. I was lamenting my defeat and the audacity of cutting the yarn, and my father was just yelling across the house, shame on you, for shame. I think the only person who's further into the future than me is our lone Kiwi, the lovely sort of... That's true. Okay, let me see if I can get this, Jody. It's Teleicha med Foldselsdagen una. Ford, was it Ford? Ford Salesdagen. Foldselsdagen. I presume that means happy birthday, yes? So it's Teleicha med Foldsdagen. Foldselsdagen. They really are. I don't know why these chapters read so much faster than others do, but they go by. I mean, and some of them are short chapters, so that helps to get by. But even the long chapters, they read very quickly. Night-night, everyone. Mega love and best wishes. Good night, Tiger. Thank you for joining us. I'm typing for Rio, you guessed, but his word. Oh, I see. Well, have a wonderful night, Tiger and Rio, and what was your other child's name? Was it Tom? Tim? Alright, real quick, friends. I think we need to run ads for... No, we got a little bit of time. We got a little bit of time. I'm so surprised with how different Barry's first chapter is so different, but still so similar to its original draft. The current draft fixed so many issues, and she's now more acting her age. Well, that's good. I'm still here, Rio's out. Oh, I see. Well, a good night to Rio, then. This is how you make an entrance precisely. Toluca. Interesting. Toluca made Fu Selsdaen. It's interesting that I suppose that Danish is more close to German than it is to like Norwegian, and there's a lot of silent D's in. There's a lot of silent D's in German. Like there's a frustrating number of silent D's in German, but I didn't know that they had silent D's in Danish, so that's interesting. So it's made Ford Selsdagen. Interesting, because I would say Ford. I would have said Ford Selsdagen. Because that's more Old Norse Norwegian. Ford Selsdagen. Interesting. Danish makes me feel like I have a potato in my throat, as it probably should. Tyson says, Alles gut zum gut Geburtstag. Christy, hello, just now dropping it. It's alright, it's alright. What 16? Hello, good to see you. Hello. I think raccoons are coming in. Oh, or some of Cryptid's folk dipping into the tavern. Well, sometimes after you've had a night with the Cryptids, you need to get yourself a drink. Ich liebe Deutschland. German was one of the languages I learned very young, and I've not used it at all in my adult life. And they say that you never forget a language, but I have. Because I used to be able to speak some Norwegian. I used to be able to fairly fluent in German and fluent in our family's dialect of Welga, but I haven't spoken any of those in over 20 years fluently. Did you know that bad juju about whistling at night? I was discussing with my father, and we aren't sure if the whistling back and I do a bird count. So if the folklore I'm thinking about is what you're mentioning, Crow, then yes, it 100% does count. I lived there for 3 years, but I keep it up for Ramstein. Respectable. Oomph and what is the other one? Oomph and Fawn are also exceptional German bands. Yeah, like I remember the pronunciations and stuff, and if I see it written down, generally it'll come back to me after a minute. But good lord, I can speak English, conversation Norwegian, Icelandic, and Japanese. Japanese I was learning for a bit because we're planning on doing a Storytime series in Japan in the next couple of years, and I want to be able to speak to people when we're there. Japanese is so hard for me. To be fair, but to be honest, I care more about the food. Food is one of the number one reasons to travel. This is one of the number one reasons to travel. I mean, pretty much all like Eastern Asian languages are very difficult if you don't grow up learning them. I learned Spanish for 2 years and I can't speak much of it. Yeah, well, I mean, when you learn a language when you're older, when you learn a language when you're like in your teens or an adult, it's understandable that you might forget something, but I grew up speaking them. So it's always baffled me because I tried to go back. And just start speaking and writing in Guelga and German again, and I've lost it all. Now, if I'm reading a book or I'm going over like a lesson, it'll come back to me. But if I try to just pull it out of my head, it's just not there. I've replaced it with other things, I guess. I can say hi in about 13 to 16 different languages. I mean, yeah, I can say hi in quite a few languages. Probably not 13 to 16. I think it's like Russian is privyet, or Здравствуйте. Dansk er et svært språk. 3 alphabets too, yeah. Kadula. Brigit, yeah. Well, and then you have what is Japanese? Japanese is arigato is Japanese. Arigato gozaimasu. Public pronunciation. Well, thank you, Jody. I do my best. The schools where I'm at either force you to learn Spanish or French. A lot of the schools out here in California will force you. Konnichiwa. That's right. Konnichiwa. Yeah, that's right. Arigato is thank you. Arigato is kanbanwa. That's true. Kanbanwa. And then in German you have Heil or Guten Morgen or Guten Abend, Guten Nacht. Hallo, yeah, hallo is probably the more common. In Irish, the common modern Irish is Dia Duit or Dias Miora Duit. I do know how to say gloves in Spanish, granted, it's for a dirty joke. Of course it is. Of course it is. Alright, Twitch friends, I think we need to run. Oh, hang on. Let me check to see if the lady's on her way home. It doesn't seem so yet. Okay. So I don't see the lady yet. So let's go. We'll go ahead and run ads over on the Twitch portal so that we can have another hour, and then we'll do another chapter. How's that sound, friends? And then maybe we'll do some music. Maybe we'll do some songs after this chapter. We'll just play it low and light. No. Well, I mean, I do technically. She and I both have, like, I have my location turned on for her, and she has her location turned on for me on our phones, so that we always know where the other one is, just in case, because like she has such bad luck with cars and everything. Guten Morgen, Guten Tag, Guten Abend, Guten Nacht. Yeah, absolutely. I want to learn a couple of Native American languages because stuff like AC3 and RDR2. Cherokee is a very interesting language. I learned a bit of it when I was very young, as a part of a exchange program. I lived on a Cherokee reservation with my grandmother for a year when I moved back to the United States. And that was really interesting. I know you're joking, but we do kind of have each other low-jacked. Like, we share each other's location because she's awful with being safe. Odin saved me, the wife has grounded me being up too late. I woke her up. Oops. Oh, you're in trouble now, Tiger. You're never supposed to wake the wife up. Hello. Hello. Good morning. That's how you say it in English, but English. British English. I learned German in high school and then Danish in Denmark as an exchange student and ASL in college. I did spend a little bit of time learning ASL because I had a very dear friend who was deaf. But then she moved to the Netherlands and I have not heard from her since. So I kind of stopped because that was before we had video calls. So I didn't know if I was ever going to see her again. So I went on to studying other things. So I'm a bit of a jerk like that. So my father's grandmother was a pure-blooded Cherokee squaw, Stephanie, and so her daughter, who was my grandmother, my father's mom, I lived with her on a Cherokee reservation for a year, because she lived out there. Used to watch Hello. We were snoring, but I woke her up. Help, any adventures I could go on? No adventures that I can think of off the top of my head, Tiger. And it was an interesting experience. My British husband says, "Happy wife, happy life." The lady and I always say, as long as we are happy together, we'll always be unhappy apart. Michael says, "I'm looking here while playing Kingdom Hearts." A fine multitask, my friend. A fine multitask. Okay, we're going to run ads over on Twitch, friends. So if you do not have a sub or Twitch Turbo, you will be stuck in ads for a bit. We're going to continue the conversation, but we'll get back into stories as soon as the ads are done. It'll be 3 minutes, and then we'll get 60 minutes without them. We appreciate you for sitting through them, friends. We were forced to learn French and German at our high school, and I've forgotten almost all of it. Well, for French, it's probably for the best. So you're a resident? No, not even a little bit. My son's grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee and grew up in the Oklahoma reservation. Yeah, the one that I was out in Georgia. I lived with my dad on an indigenous reserve in North Van for a few months. He was in a relationship with an indigenous lady at the time. Oh, interesting. Restworld Town Family Castle, thank you for the story as always. I will return on Thursday with no real time. That's true, Frost. You only have a little bit more work left before you're free for the summer. Well, congratulations, my friend. Rest well and enjoy your last couple days of work. I'm almost half through the German lessons on Busu. Tyson, so Busu logged me out and I can't get back in. It won't let me. My great-grandmother was, as was mine, Joni. Interestingly enough. So my great-grandfather was pure Irish on my father's side, and my great-grandmother was pure Cherokee. Can I use the memory pen thing on Canada? I think it's having a stroke. Keep saying bonjour to me. That's funny. I got a cranky wife right now. I think I should make an offering of coffee. Probably you don't want to make her jittery and energized in the middle of the night, Tiger. I would say maybe a snack. Snacks are how you satiate the wives at night. Coffee is satiating in the morning. I'm looking forward to doing some writing. I look forward to seeing what you write. But I'm always excited for new stories to enter the world. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. So one of the things for anyone who's interested in being in night, everyone. Best wishes to you all. Good night, Tiger. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday, by the way. If you ever want to join Storytime again, we do Storytimes on Tuesday and Thursday. Thursday is the grown-up night, so the book is a little bit more mature. Nothing explicit, it's just a little bit more of an adult book. I low-key want to take one of those DNA tests. DNA tests are interesting, but what you have to understand about them is that they are not overly accurate. Like, what they trace lineage based on a lot of different factors, much of which is, like, very public records, right? So there are little new, like, for instance, if you have Scandinavian ancestry, eventually that Scandinavian ancestry will trace all the way back to, like, Sigurd and Odin, right? Because of Himskringla. So they're only really accurate up to, like, 300 years at the most. So anything past that is just sort of like, I will try to keep the kids up on Tuesdays. Well, excellent, Tiger. We'll be looking forward to having you as a regular then. That should be fun. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is it might come up as you being related to Thor, Matty. That's the thing. Like, they're accurate back 150 to 300 years, depending on where you're from and how good the records are there. SG said, Castle, my father was a language whiz. He taught me a few languages when we were kids. Japanese, German, Spanish, Italian, and French. Very interesting. My grandfather was German, so my grandmother was German Cherokee. That's a hell of a mix. That's a hell of a mix. Let's see. That's fine. So we're going to get that back up. Well, because one of the things that Snorri Sturluson did is that he made it so that a lot of the kings of, like, Sweden and Norway could draw their lines back to some divine lineage, including his and his father's. So you have, like, these lines of very real historical kings, and then after a while it starts turning into purely legendary figures, and then those legendary figures turn into mythological figures. So that was my mother. Oh, that was my mother's mother. My mother's father was Irish. You got all of the hot blood in you, Tony. All of the hot blood. I'm pretty sure we'll come back as somewhere in Africa and a small percentage Native American and European. Yeah, that's not uncommon. Generally speaking, if you're American, or even if you're American or Canadian, generally you'll come back with, like, Northern European, usually somewhere in Scandinavia, somewhere in, like, Ireland, England, Scotland, sometimes in, like, Cornwall, like that area. A few people will get Wales, but the Welsh didn't really travel a whole lot. And then you'll get something Native American. Like, if you're from the US, you probably have some Native American, and then some like Western and Northern European. I know I'm Scottish, French, Hispanic, and a bit Irish. Now, Hispanic as in, like, from Mexico or directly back to Spain, Clifford. So I could be distantly related to a Norse god. Yes, at least substantively, according to a thing that Snorri Sturluson wrote. Because I get messages about this all the time. I've had probably a dozen people message me just this year saying, hey, I did a DNA test and it says that I am a descendant of Freyr, or I'm a descendant of Sigurd, or I'm a descendant of Odin. And I have to go through the process of explaining to people that, individual, hello, good to see you, it's been a while, that those lines are being drawn because the public records we have from Iceland, Norway, and Sweden use Himskringla, which was a legendary lineage written by Snorri Sturluson. They use that as, like, a legitimate tracing of line. So if you have Scandinavian blood, you will get traced back to some legendary figure. It's been a while. I'm glad to be here. This is a fascinating subject. Yeah, and ironically came out of nowhere. We're actually reading Eragon at the moment, but the topic of lineages came up, and we began talking about it. Are you from Newfoundland? How did you know? You sound like a high Irishman. Yeah, it's true. From Spain. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Because for some reason, especially a lot of North Americans don't seem to understand that Mexico is a combination of North American tribes like the Inca, the Aztec, and like a dozen others that blended with the Spanish and Irish who settled in the territory that is now called Mexico. Mexico has not always been called Mexico. Mexico was called New Spain or Little Spain up until like 200 years ago, which is a very funny thing to me. Kelsey, hello, good evening, all you beautiful freaking people. It's been so long. It's good to see you. And most folk are, like I said, especially if you're from North America. If you were born in North America, you probably have a very mixed lineage. And one of the things that bothers me a lot is a lot of native folk from like Ireland and Scotland and England and Spain and France, like they will treat the diaspora, and diaspora is a word that means lineage born outside of native countries. So if you are Irish, if your family's Irish, but you are a second or third generation in America, you are the diaspora of Ireland. But a lot of native Europeans treat their diaspora with disdain, don't want to teach them anything, don't want to talk to them about anything, don't want to give them any sort of grace or consideration, and it ends up, it's terrible. It makes it so that folk who are in the US don't get to have any connection to their lineage, which is why the lady and I do this, because I was very fortunate to grow up very connected with my history and my family stories, and our family has a long tradition of keeping stories. So I'm always happy to share that because a lot of people don't get to have it. Clifford says, my Meemaw would tell me I'm related to a conquistador. That'd be interesting if you. It's not too far out there. A lot of the folk who settled down in Mexico, they were conquistadors. I'm a descendant of Harold Blattand. Is it Blattand? Blattand. Interesting. I'm usually very good with European names. That one's got my tongue tripped up. I know how true it is, but one of my great-grandmothers was Native American, because the town I'm from, a lot of people claim Native heritage. And again, that's, it's very common. There are a lot. If you're born in the United States and your family have been here for more than 3 generations, chances are there's a little bit in there. The Aztec are technically called the Mexica, something like that. 10% Southern Wales, a variety of Celtic, Gaelic, Denmark, and Eastern Europe, and a variety of others. I'll send you a later in a message. And again, see that kind of mixture is very, very common. I have so much in me. I'm a mutt. Well, that's true. Yes, I'm in North America, and when I explain my lineage to people, it's a mouthful. As I've experienced that disdain before, people say you're just an American, but I'm interested. Well, see, that's what I always say. Like, I've lived in America for 20 years. I am an American, and I was born in America, so I'm an American. But I grew up in Irish culture, Irish and Scandinavian culture, because I went to live with my grandfather when I was 6 months old, and I lived there until I was a teenager. So, ethnically, I am Irish. I grew up in Irish culture, and ethnically, I am Scandinavian because I grew up in Scandinavian culture, but I was born in Blautand. Yes, okay, that makes sense. Harold Bluetooth. Absolutely, Jody, absolutely. But one of the things that bugs me very much about the way that our native folk from Europe, and it's everywhere. It's not just Europe. I point the finger at Europe because that's the people I deal with the most. Because I deal with a lot of European folklore and history and all that, but it's an unfortunate level of disdain held for the diaspora. So I do what I can to bridge the gaps. Christy, you said on my dad's side, Scandinavian, Norman, Scottish, German, English. So I would put Scandinavian and Norman together, and Scottish and English together, and then German as its sort of its own thing. On my mom's side, Irish, Scottish, English, and Polish. My dad's line can be traced to the clan Gordon and Norman Gordon, and he had Viking bloodlines. After Normandy had its due to lack of birth records. Right, well, that's the other thing. As you have to understand, unless your family was very famous, going back beyond like the 1500s is nearly impossible because there are virtually no birth records. I am a diaspora of the UK, Ireland, France, Norway, Germany, and Denmark. Whole lot of warring going on there. Like none of your, like nobody inside of you likes themselves, Matty. If anyone ever heard of the Lumbee tribe, is what they claim they are. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so my father has a pretty interesting mix of heritage. South African, Dutch, Scottish, French, Irish, and speaks Zulu. Zulu is an interesting language. I spent a few months in South Africa with my grandfather and met a few people who spoke Zulu. I was very young. I was like 9 years old. And it was an interesting experience. But here's the thing. South Africa has 12 official languages, so the language scene is pretty diverse. That's true. That is true. I'm Scottish, Irish, German, English, Welsh, French, depending on who won the war that day, and a bit of Cherokee. That's fair enough. I'm straight up Irish and Italian, maybe a bit of Scotch on the Irish side. My family has not been here that long. Yeah, and the longer you've been in the US, the more like mixed your line's gonna be. That's usually how it happens. My mother's side is Native American. The entire history is lost because my great something grandmother was taken from her tribe and put into a white family, forced to dye her hair blonde, etc. That is interesting. I don't know of many instances where folk were forced to dye their hair, so it's a very interesting history, Crow. Very interesting. Scottish and Old English 4th gen. Mama 2 Live, hello, good to see you. Fred here, you said on paternal line we don't know past my 4th great-granddad, we just know they came from Wales. Well, and Wales is interesting because Wales was so insular for such a long time that there weren't a whole lot of birth and death records outside of like nobility inside of Wales. Individual, I'm Scottish, English, Irish, German, French, Cherokee, and Potawatomi. Potawatomi is... that would be northern America. Obviously North America, but in the northern states of America, yes? You missed a few chapters, Jacob, but we're going to do one more here in just a minute, so you haven't missed everything. My mother is Native American and my father is Irish and English. See, that's a more balanced mix. Still some hot blood in there, though, Crow. Still some hot blood in there. I very much enjoy your accent. My voice is bland. Nobody's voice is bland. We're just so used to hearing our own voices that sometimes they come out that way. I don't think anybody has a bland voice. Well, that's not true. I had an English professor when I was in university who had a very bland voice. Yes, up in the north, my Potawatomi relatives were in Canada and Michigan. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the Michigan, Indiana area is what came to mind, but I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth. I'm terrible with geography, so sometimes I forget it. Can I get a 7-second recap? You certainly can, Jacob. They went into a town, and now they're looking for one of Brom's friends. You're now completely caught up. William the Bastard, also known as William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror, yes indeed. My father has traced our line back to William the Bastard of Normandy, William Marshall, and his wife, Isabella de Clare. You have a fascinating lineage, Jody. Castlear's surname is Cumming. The name comes from Clan Cumming, which has a history linked to the Comyn family, and is quite well known in northeastern Scotland. Yes, indeed. I have a child's voice, and I always get asked if my mommy's home. Hi, Cindy. It's good to see you. Okay, all right. I think we can get back into stories. I waffled quite a bit here. As far as I'm aware, there's Irish, Scottish, Wales, England, Cornwall, Brittany, and Isle of Man. Oh, yeah. You could probably toss the Faroes in there, because, like, the Faroe Islands are sort of like a midway in between Scandinavia and Scotland, and there's a whole lot of fighting over whether they're more Scandinavian or more Scottish that goes on in Europe. I've always considered them to be, because culturally they're more Scottish. There's a lot of influence from Norway and Sweden there, but they are definitely culturally closer to Scotland than they are to Norway, at least in my opinion. Because I spent some of my childhood in Norway, north of Oslo, and there's a small city north of Oslo. I don't say which because one of my uncles still lives there, and I don't want people going to harass my family. We've had that happen before, and I try to avoid it now. I was able to go back to someone named Sir Jeffries, but I have no clue if it's accurate. Well, that's the thing is, anything when you're dealing with lineage is going to be very much guesswork, Emerald. So, like, you have to be comfortable knowing that whatever you find is at best going to be an educated guess. My grandmother on my father's side was a Blackburn, and her family was Ripon Lodge in Virginia. It's very interesting. I used to know a very fine gentleman whose name was Blackburn. The Faroe Islands were a part of Denmark when I was in Denmark. Yeah. So early on, they had a lot of influence from Norway and Sweden. I think that you're right. I think Denmark is the I don't know. Again, I'm terrible with geography, but I think that you're right, Jody. I think that that's correct. But culturally, yeah, well, I would say Denmark. Denmark is also a lot more closely related to Scottish and Irish culture than it is to, like, Icelandic or Swedish or Norwegian culture. Like, Denmark is not terribly like any of the other Scandinavian countries. Because Denmark's also not technically Scandinavia. Like, Denmark is Norse, but it's not technically Scandinavia. The whole thing is weird. Because Finland is Scandinavia, but it's not Norse. And Sweden and Norway and Iceland and Greenland are all Norse, but they're not all Scandinavian. That whole thing is very confusing to work with. I would agree with you. Yeah, but again, I'm remembering from like 15, 20 years ago, way more than that. It's been like 23 years since I've been in Europe. Oh, hey, we've got some folk raiding in. Can I get from one of the moderators, can I get a shout out for T.A. Cook, Arthur Cook? How's it going, friend? It's been a while. At least I think you've come in before. If I'm misremembering, I apologize, but I think you've been in before. Let's wait until somebody pops in, and then we'll say hello. Jacob said, I'm 1/4 Cherokee and 3/4 German. I won't say what our name used to be prior to World War II, but my great-great-grandfather was a colonel in the Waffen SS in the Panda Division. Oh, interesting. My mother had a relative who was assigned there. Arthur Cook, hello! Now, you have been in before, yes? I recognize your name, but I want to make sure that you are the same Cook. I'm remembering from nearly... Okay, so we're both remembering from a good long while ago. Let's get Arthur Cook and his friends. Okay, excellent, wonderful. Good to see you again. Let's get you a toot on the right horn. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. An uncle on my mom's side mentioned being related to a queen who was called the White Queen. Oh, interesting. As far as I'm aware... Oh, I already read that one. No, it's alright, individual. It'll happen. Yes, it's me. Had to turn my music down. Oh, that's alright. How was your stream? How did things go? What were you all up to? We're just about to start our final chapter for the evening in Eragon. So you've all made it in just in time. My grandfather on my mom's side was 3/4 Finn, 1/4 Swede. Interesting. Not sure about my grandmother, but my grandpa on my dad's side were Czech and European. That's a Finn and Swede. I understand because Finland and Sweden, like, they have sort of a symbiosis to them. Not not necessarily wanted, but they have a symbiosis to them whether they want it or not. But Czech is interesting. Tyson. Good. We outlined chapters 16 through 20. Now I gotta help my wife get the kiddos in bed. It's way past their bedtime. Well, that is incredibly important. Arthur Cook, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for bringing in your community to join us. It was very good to have you in. Go and make sure your little ones get off to bed and make sure that your wife is happy and healthy. We appreciate you and we'll look forward to seeing you back in the tavern again soon. But until then, stay bloodthirsty, my friend. We appreciate you dropping in. The glass raised to you, Sláinte. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. You guys are already at 11,000 likes over on TikTok. That's incredible. Alright, I think that we are set to go back into stories, my friend. This is going to be our last chapter for the evening. Then we'll probably do a couple of songs, and then we'll be done for the night, and we'll be back on Thursday. Yeah, my oldest graduated high school, and we got her a very nice Mini Cooper 2000 with 100k miles on it. Honestly, that's actually spectacular, especially if you can, if the transmission and the wheel bearings are all in good, then that's spectacular. Neko, you said I'm Native American, West African, Irish, Scottish, Cajun, French, English, and Scandinavian, related to King John, Queen Elizabeth, Mi'kmaq chief, and Joseph Brossard of the French. Phew, that is a hell of a mix. Just a walking compilation of war and drama, indeed. All in one place. Do we need our mugs? Of course we need our mugs for Thursday, Matty, of course. My family traces back to Edward the First of England, also referred to as the Bane of Scotland, and from Malcolm of Scotland. So there's a whole, like, if you live in North America, there's a whole lot of internal chaos that goes on in the blood. My grandfather did some searching and found out we were rotated in for crew members of Leif Erikson. Oh, I see. My great-great-grandfather, my dad's side, is Mother Teresa's cousin. Wow, that's very interesting, Tyson. Very interesting. Okay, friends, we're going back in chapter 25 of Eragon, an old friend. The herbalist shop had a cheery sign and was easy to find. A short, curly-haired woman sat by the door. She was holding a frog in one hand and writing with the other. Eragon assumed that she was Angela, the herbalist. On the other side of the store was a house. "Which one do you think is his?" he asked. Brom deliberated, then said, "Let's find out." He approached the woman and asked politely, "Could you tell us which house Georg lives in?" "I could." She continued writing. "Will you tell us?" "Yes." She fell silent, but her pen scribbled faster than ever. The frog on her hand croaked and looked at them with baleful eyes. Brom and Eragon waited uncomfortably, but she said no more. Eragon was about to blurt something out when Angela looked up. "Of course I'll tell you. All you have to do is ask. And your first question is whether or not I could tell you, and your second question is if I would tell you, but you never actually put the question to me." "Well, then let me ask properly," said Brom with a smile. "Which house is Georg's? And why are you holding a frog?" Now we're getting somewhere, she bantered. Geode is on the right. As for the frog, he's actually a toad. I'm trying to prove that toads don't exist, that they're only frogs. How can toads not exist if you have one in your hand right now? Interrupted Eragon. Besides, what good will it do proving that there are only frogs? The woman shook her head vigorously, dark curls bouncing. No, you don't understand. If I prove toads don't exist, then this is a frog and I never was a toad. Therefore, the toad you see now doesn't exist, and... She raised a small finger. If I can prove there are only frogs, then toads won't be able to do anything bad, like make teeth fall out or cause warts, or poison and kill people. Also, witches won't be able to use them for any of their evil spells because, of course, there won't be any toads around. I see, said Brom delicately. Sounds interesting. I would like to hear more, but we have to meet Geode. Of course, she said, waving her hand and returning to her writing. Once they were out of the herbalist's hearing, Eragon said, She's crazy. It's possible, said Brom. But you never know. She might discover something useful. So don't criticize. Who knows? Toads might really be frogs. Yeah, my shoes might be made of gold, retorted Eragon. They stopped before a door with a wrought iron knocker and marble doorstep. Brom banged 3 times. No one answered. Eragon felt slightly foolish. Maybe this is the wrong house. Let's try the other one, he said, and Brom ignored him and knocked again, pounding loudly. Again no one answered, and Eragon turned away in exasperation. Then heard someone run to the door. A young woman with a pale complexion and light blonde hair cracked it open. Her eyes were puffy, and it looked like she'd been crying, but her voice was perfectly steady. Yes? What do you want? Does Geode live here? Asked Brom kindly. The woman dipped her head a little. Yes. He is my husband. Is he expecting you? She opened the door no farther. No, but we need to talk to him, said Brom. He's very busy. We have travelled far. It is very important that we see him. Her face hardened. He is busy. Brom bristled, but his voice stayed pleasant. Since he is unavailable, would you please give him a message? Her mouth twitched, but she consented. Tell him that a friend from Gilead is waiting outside. The woman seemed suspicious, but said, Very well. She closed the door abruptly. Eragon heard her footsteps recede. That wasn't very polite. That wasn't very polite, he commented. Keep your opinions to yourself, snapped Brom. Don't say anything. Let me do the talking. He crossed his arms and tapped his fingers. Eragon clamped his mouth shut and looked away. The door suddenly flew open and a tall man burst out of the house. His expensive clothes were rumpled, his grey hair wispy, and he had a mournful face with short eyebrows. A long scar stretched across his scalp to his temples. At the sight of him, his eyes grew wide, and he sagged against the doorframe, speechless. His mouth opened and closed several times, like a gasping fish. He asked softly in an incredulous voice, Brom! Brom put a finger to his lips and reached forward, clasping the man's arms. It's good to see you, Geode. I'm glad that memory has not failed you. But don't use that name. Be unfortunate if anyone knew I was here. Geode looked around wildly, shock plain in his face. I thought you were dead, he whispered. What happened? Why haven't you contacted me before? All things will be explained. Do you have a place where we can talk safely? Geode hesitated, swinging his gaze between Eragon and Brom, face unreadable. Finally he said, We can't talk here. But if you wait just a moment, I'll take you somewhere we can. Fine, said Brom, and Geode nodded and vanished behind the door. I hope I can learn something of Brom's past, thought Eragon. There was a rapier at Geode's side when he reappeared. An embroidered jacket hung loosely on his shoulders, matched by a plumed hat. Brom cast a critical eye at the finery, and Geode shrugged self-consciously. He took them through Terim toward the citadel. Eragon led the horses behind the two men. Geode gestured at their destination. Rest hard. The Lord of Terim. He's decreed that all the business owners must have their headquarters in his castle. Even though most of us conduct our business elsewhere, we still have to rent rooms there. It's nonsense, but we abide by it anyways to keep him calm. We'll be free of eavesdroppers in there. Walls are thick. They went to the fortress's main gate and into the keep. Geode strode to a side door and pointed to an iron ring. You can tie your horses there. No one will bother them. When Sophia and Kadok were safely tethered, he opened the door with an iron key and let them inside. Within was a long, empty hallway lit by torches set into the walls. Eragon was surprised to see how cold and damp it was. When he touched the walls, his fingers slid over a layer of slime. He shivered. Geode snatched a torch from its bracket and led them down the hall. They stopped before a heavy wooden door. He unlocked it and ushered them into a room dominated by a bearskin rug laden with stuffed chairs. Bookshelves stacked with leather-bound tomes covered the walls. Geode piled wood into the fireplace, then thrust a torch under it, and the fire quickly roared. You, old man, you have some explaining to do. Brom's face crinkled with a smile. Who are you calling old man? The last time I saw you, there was no greying your hair. Now it looks like it's in its final stages of decomposition. You look the same as you did nearly 20 years ago. Time seems to have preserved you as a crotchety old man, just to inflict wisdom upon a new generation. Enough of this. Get on with the story. That's always what you are good at, said Geode impatiently. Eragon's ears pricked up, and he waited eagerly to hear what Brom would say. Herring, hello, good to see you. Seamus, thank you for dropping in, my friend. Rest well, and may you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day. Brom relaxed into a chair and pulled out his pipe. He slowly blew a smoke ring that turned green, darted into the fireplace, and then flew up the chimney. Do you remember what we were doing in Gilead? Yeah, of course, said Jude. That sort of thing is hard to forget. An understatement, but nevertheless, said Brom dryly. When we were separated, I couldn't find you. In the midst of the turmoil, I stumbled into a small room. There wasn't anything extraordinary in it, just crates and boxes. But out of curiosity, I rummaged around anyway. Fortune smiled on me that hour, for I found what we had been searching for. An expression of shock ran over Geode's face. Once it was in my hands, I couldn't wait for you. At any second, I might have been discovered, and all lost. I disguised myself as best I could, and fled the city and ran to the... Brom hesitated and glanced at Eragon, and then said, Ran to our friends. They stored it in a vault for safekeeping, made me promise to care for whomever received it. Until the day when my skill would be needed, I had to disappear. No one could know that I was alive, not even you. Though it grieved me
to pain you unnecessarily, and went north, and hid in Carvajal. Eragon clenched his jaw, infuriated that Brom was deliberately keeping him in the dark. Jared frowned and asked, "Then our friends knew that you were alive all along?" "Yes," he sighed. "I suppose the ruse was unavoidable, though I wish they had told me. There's a Carvajal farther north, on the other side of the spine." Brom inclined his head. For the first time, Geode inspected Eragon. His grey eyes took in every detail, and he raised his eyebrows. "I assume, then, that you were fulfilling your duty?" Brom shook his head. "No, it's not that simple. It was stolen a while ago. At least, that's what I presume. But I haven't received word from our friends, and I suspect their messenger was waylaid. So I decided to find out what I could. Eragon happened to be travelling in the same direction. We have but stayed together for a time now." Geode looked puzzled. "But if they haven't sent any messages, how could you know that it was—" Brom overruled him quickly, saying, "Eragon's uncle was brutally killed by the Razak. They burned his home and nearly caught him in the process. He deserves revenge. They have left us without a trail to follow, and we need help finding them." Jared's face cleared. "I see. Well, why have you come here? I don't know where the Razak might be hiding, and anyone who does won't tell you." Standing, Brom reached into his robes and pulled out the Razak's flask. He tossed it to Geode. "There's heather oil in there, the dangerous kind. The Razak were carrying it. They lost it by the trail, and we happened to find it. We need to see Terem's shipping records, so we can trace the Empire's purchase of the oil. That should tell us where the Razak's lair is." Lines appeared on Jared's face as he thought. He pointed at the books on the shelves. "Do you see those? They are all records from my business. One business. You've got yourself into a project that could take months. There is another greater problem. The records you seek are held in this castle, but only Brand Rishart, administrators of trade, sees them on a regular basis. Traders such as myself aren't allowed to handle them. They fear will falsify the results, thus cheating the Empire of its precious taxes. I can deal with that when the time comes," said Brom. "But we need a few days of rest before we can think about proceeding." Geode smiled. "It seems that it is my turn to help you. My house is yours, of course. Do you have another name while you're here?" "Yes," said Brom. "I'm Neil. And the boy is named Evan." "Eragon," said Geode thoughtfully. "You have a unique name. Few have ever been named after the first rider. In my life I've read about only 3 people who ever called such." Eragon was startled that Geode knew the origins of his name. Brom looked at Eragon. "Could you go and check on the horses and make sure they're all right? I don't think I tied Snowfire to that ring tightly enough." "They're trying to hide something from me. The moment I leave, they're going to talk about it." Eragon shoved himself out of the chair and left the room, slamming the door shut. Snowfire had not moved. The knot had held fine where it was. Scratching the horse's neck, Eragon leaned sullenly against the castle wall. "It's not fair," he complained to himself. "If only I could hear what they were saying." He jolted upright, electrified. Brom had once taught him the words that would enhance his hearing. Keen ears aren't exactly what I want, but I should be able to make the words work. After all, look at what I could do with Brazinga. He concentrated intensely and reached for his power.
Once it was within his grasp, he said, Thevas tenaron atra ecta hona, and imbued the words with his will. As the power rushed out of him, he heard a faint whisper in his ears, nothing more. Disappointed, he sank back, then started, as Jayod said, and I've been thinking of doing that for almost 8 years now. Eragon looked around, and no one was there except for a few guards standing against the far wall of the keep. Grinning, he sat on the courtyard and closed his eyes. I never expected you to become a merchant, said Brom, after all the time you spent in books and finding the passageways in that manner. Why did you take up trading instead of remaining a scholar? Well, after Gilead, I didn't have much of a taste for sitting in musty rooms and reading scrolls. I decided to help Al-Jihad as best I could, but I'm no warrior. My father was a merchant as well. You may remember that. He helped me get started. However, the bulk of my business has nothing more than a front to get goods into Surda. But I take it that things have been going badly, said Brom. Yes. None of the shipments have gotten through lately, and Trondheim is running low on supplies. Somehow the Empire, at least I think it's them, has discovered those of us who have been helping support Trondheim. But I'm still not convinced that it's the Empire. No one sees any soldiers. I don't understand it. Perhaps Galbatorix hired mercenaries to harass us. I heard that you lost a ship recently. Last one that I owned, answered Jayod bitterly. Every man on it was loyal and brave. I doubt I'll ever see them again. The only option I have left is to send caravans, to Surda and Gilead, which I know won't get there, no matter how many guards I hire, or characters, someone else's ship to carry the goods. No one will take them now. How many merchants have been helping you? Asked Brom. Oh, a good number up and down the seaboard. All of them have been plagued by the same troubles. I know what you're thinking, and I've pondered it many a night myself, but I cannot bear the thought of a traitor with that much knowledge and power. If there is one, we're all in jeopardy. You should return to Trondheim. And take Eragon there, interrupted Brom, and tear him apart. It's the worst place he could be right now. Maybe in a few months, or even better, a year. Can you imagine how the dwarves will react? Everyone will be trying to influence him. Especially Islan Zadi. He and Saphira won't be safe in Trondheim until I at least get them through the Tuathadu Orathim. Dwarves, thought Eragon excitedly. Where is this Trondheim? And why did he tell Jayod about Saphira? He shouldn't have done that without asking me. Still, I have a feeling that they are in need of your power and wisdom. Wisdom? Snorted Brom. And just what you said earlier, crotchety old man. Well, many would disagree. Let them. I have no need to explain myself. No, Al-Jihad will have to get along without me. What I'm doing now is much more important. But the prospect of a traitor raises troubling questions. I wonder, that's how the Empire knew where to be. His voice trailed off. And I wonder why I haven't been contacted about this, said Jayod. Maybe they tried. If there's a traitor, Brom paused. I have to send word to Al-Jihad. You have a messenger you can trust? I think so, said Jayod. Depends on where he would have to go. I don't know, said Brom. I've been isolated so long, my contacts have probably died or forgotten me. Could you send him
to whoever receives your shipments?
Yes, but it'll be risky.
What is it these days? How soon can he leave?
I can go in the morning. I'll send him to Gilead. It will be faster, said Gerald. What can he take to our jihad? What can he take to convince our jihad the messenger comes from you?
Here, give your man my ring. Tell him that if he loses it, I'll personally tear his liver out. It was given to me by the Queen.
Aren't you cheery? Commented Gerald. Brom grunted, and after a long silence,
better go out and join Eragon. I get worried when he's alone. Boy has an unnatural propensity for being wherever there's trouble.
Are you surprised?
Not really.
Eragon heard chairs being pushed back. He quickly pulled his mind away and opened his eyes. What's going on? He muttered to himself. Jayud and the other traitors are in trouble for helping people the Empire doesn't favour. Brom found something in Gilead and went to Carverholder High. What could be so important that he would let his own friend think he was dead for nearly 20 years? He mentioned a queen, and there aren't any queens in the known kingdoms, and dwarves, as he himself told me, disappeared underground long ago. He wanted answers, but he would not confront Brom now and risk jeopardizing their mission. No, he would wait until they left him, and then he would persist until the old man explained his secrets. Eragon's thoughts were still whirling when the door opened.
Were the horses all right?
Asked Brom. Fine, said Eragon. They untied the horses and left the castle. As they re-entered the main body of Taim, Brom said,
So, Jayod, you finally got married, and...
He winked slyly.
To a lovely young lady. Congratulations.
Jayod did not seem happy with the compliment. He hunched his shoulders and stared down at the street. Whether congratulations or an order is debatable right now. Ellen isn't very happy.
Why? What does she want?
Asked Brom. Oh, the usual, said Jayod with a resigned shrug. A good home, happy children, food on the table, and pleasant company. Problem is that she comes from a wealthy family. The father has invested heavily in my business. I keep suffering these losses. There won't be enough money for her to live the way she used to. Jayod continued. But please, my troubles are not your troubles, and the host should never bother his guests with his own concerns. While you're at my house, I will let nothing more than an overfull stomach disturb you.
Thank you, said Brom. We appreciate the hospitality. Travels have been long and without comforts of any kind. Do you happen to know where I could find an inexpensive shop? All this riding has worn out our clothes.
Of course, that's my job, said Jayud, lighting up. He talked eagerly about prices in stores until his house was in sight. Then he asked, Would you mind if we went somewhere else to eat? It might be awkward if you came in right now.
If it makes you feel comfortable,
said Brom. Jayud looked relieved. Thanks. Let's leave your horses in my stable. They did as he suggested, then followed him to a large tavern. Unlike the green chestnut, this one was loud, clean, and full of boisterous people. When the main course arrived, a stuffed suckling pig, Eragon eagerly dug into the meat. But he especially savoured the potatoes, the carrots, turnips, and sweet apples that accompanied it. It had been a long time since he'd eaten much more than wild game. They lingered over the meal for hours as Brom and Gerald swapped stories. Eragon did not mind. He was warm, a lively tune jangled in the background, and there was more than enough food. The spirited tavern babble fell pleasantly on his ears. When they finally exited the tavern, the sun was nearing the horizon. You two go ahead. I want to check on something, Eragon said. He wanted to see Saphira and make sure that she was safely hidden. Brom agreed absently. Be careful. Don't take too long. Wait, said Jade. Are you going outside Tehrim? Eragon hesitated and then reluctantly nodded. Make sure you're inside the walls before dark. The gate's closed and the guards won't let you back in till morning. I won't be late, promised Eragon, and he turned around and looked down the side street, toward Tehrim's outer wall. Once out of the city, he breathed deeply, enjoying the fresh air. Saphira, he called. Where are you? She guided him off the road to the base of a mossy cliff surrounded by maples. He saw her head poke out of the trees on the top and waved. How am I supposed to get up there? If you find a clearing, I'll come down and get you. No, he said, eyeing the cliff. That won't be necessary. I'll just climb up. It's too dangerous. And you worry too much. Let me have some fun. Eragon pulled off his gloves and started climbing. He relished the physical challenge, and there were plenty of footholds, so the ascent was easy. And soon he was high above the trees. Halfway up, he stopped on a ledge to catch his breath. Once his strength returned, he stretched up for the next handhold, but his arm was not long enough. Stymied, he searched for another crevice or ridge to grasp, but there was none. He tried backing down, but his legs could not reach the last foothold. Saphira watched with unblinking eyes. He gave up and said, I could use some help. This is your fault. Yes, I know. Are you going to get me down or not? If I weren't around, you would be in a very bad situation. Eragon rolled his eyes. You don't have to tell me. You're right. After all, how can a mere dragon expect to tell a man like yourself what to do? In fact, everyone should stand in awe of your brilliance of finding the only dead end. Why, if you had started a few feet in either direction, the path to the top would have been clear. She cocked her head at him, eyes bright. All right, I made a mistake. Now can you please get me out of here? He pleaded. She pulled her head back from the edge of the cliff, and after a moment he called, Saphira! Above him there was only swaying trees. Saphira, come back! He roared. With a loud crash, Saphira barreled off the top of the cliff. Flipping in midair, she floated down to Eragon like a huge bat. Grabbing his shirt with her claws, scratching his back, he let go of the rocks as she yanked him up into the air. After a brief flight, she set him down gently on the top of the cliff and tugged her claws out of his shirt. Foolish, she said gently. Eragon looked away and studied the landscape. The cliff provided a wonderful view of their surroundings, especially the foaming sea, as well as protection against unwelcome eyes. Only birds could see Saphira here. It was an ideal location. Is Brom's friend trustworthy? She asked. I don't know. Eragon proceeded to recount the day's events. There are forces circling us that we aren't aware of. Sometimes I wonder if we can ever understand the true motives of the people around us. They all seem to have secrets. It is the way of the world. Ignore all the schemes and trust in the nature of each person. Brom is good. He means us no harm. We don't have to fear his plans. I hope so, he said, looking down at his hands. This finding of the Razak through writing is a strange way of tracking, she remarked. Would there be any way to use magic to see the records without being inside the room? I'm not sure. You would have to combine the word for seeing with distance. Or maybe light and distance. Either way, it seems rather difficult. I'll ask Brom. That would be wise. They lapsed into tranquil silence. You know, we may have to stay here a while. Saphira's answer held a hard edge, and as always, I will be left to wait outside. That's not how I want it. Soon enough we'll travel together again. May that day come quickly. Eragon smiled and hugged her. He noticed then how rapidly the light was fading. I have to go now, before I'm locked out of Terim. Hunt tomorrow, and I will see you in the evening. She spread her wings. Come, I will take you down. He got on to her scaly back and held on tightly. She launched off the cliff and glided over the trees and landed on a knoll. Eragon thanked her and ran back to Terim. He came into sight of the portcullis just as it was beginning to lower. Calling for them to wait, he put on a burst of speed and slipped inside seconds before the gate was closed. You're cutting it a little close, observed one of the guards. It won't happen again, assured Eragon, bending over to catch his breath. He wound his way through the darkened city to Geod's house. A lantern hung outside like a beacon. A plump butler answered his knock and ushered him inside without a word. Tapestry covered the stone walls, elaborate rugs dotted the polished wood floor. Each glowed with a light from 3 golden candelabra hanging from the ceiling. Smoke drifted through the air and collected above. This way, sir. Your friend is in the study. They passed scores of doorways until the butler opened one to reveal a study. Books covered the room's walls, but unlike those in Geod's office, these came in every size and shape. A fireplace filled with blazing logs warmed the room. Brom and Geod sat before an oval writing desk, talking amiably. Brom raised his pipe and said in a jovial voice, Ah, there you are. We're getting worried about you. How was your walk? Darth Nexus, thank you for the heart me and the go popular. I appreciate you. Sorry everybody's so tired, but I think I'm going to call it a night for good night all. But please tap for Kazu. Thank you, Cindy. I hope that you rest well and that you rise tomorrow ready to face the day. Oh, we got ads coming in. And Bright Eyes. Good night, Crow. Rest well. I think we have, let's see, we have 4 pages left in this chapter. So we got about another 15 minutes of story time. Bright Eyes, thank you for the raid. Let me get you a toot on the raid horn. It's very late, so we're going to do a quiet toot on the raid horn so we don't wake everybody up. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome in, Bright Eyes. I hope that you had a wonderful stream and that whatever it was you were doing was spectacular. Let me get you a... Thank you kindly for joining us, my friend. Alright, we're going to run ads very quickly over on our Twitch portal. And then we will be... It was a very chill stream. Well, good, I'm glad. So, a nice relaxing night every now and again is not a bad thing. Alright, friends, we're going to run ads very quickly over on the Twitch portal, and then when we come back, we'll finish this final chapter of Eragon for the night. It is getting late. We are right near the end. And the lady is going to be headed back to the tavern very soon. So I will need to make sure that I am prepared to give her her birthday dotings. And I'll make sure I pass along all of your birthday wishes, my friends. TikTok waiting right to the end to try and boot us off, too. Look at that. My family sits on both sides of the Magna Carta. One, King John was forced to sign. We're descendants of King John. Jody, your lineage is so incredibly fat. You've got the entirety of Europe's drama just running in your veins. It is absolutely fascinating. Do you like sauerkraut? I like some sauerkraut, and in certain situations. I'm not really a huge fan of most fermented foods or pickled foods, but sauerkraut can be alright. Kimchi's alright. Natto, I don't like the texture of, but I will eat natto. Soy sauce, I'm okay with. Tofu is sort of hit or miss for me. It really depends. And 3 of the noble lords. As I am sure many others have, I have a great deal of love for the lady, and I hope you will spoil her absolutely shamelessly. Without any shame in my body, Bear, I will do absolutely that. I'm gonna hop off here as soon as we're finished with this chapter. Do a song. We'll do one song and then we'll hop off. That's my dinner, bratwurst and Libby's sauerkraut. Wonderful while listening to Storytime. See, and like bratwurst and sausages are really one of the only things you can eat sauerkraut with. Like there are sauerkraut pies and things I don't particularly care for. Rucohl. Pickled red cabbage, yum. The lady loves pickled cabbage and pickled beets and pickled cucumber and pickled like radishes. She loves pickled all of the things. I'm sort of picky with what I like pickled, if you will. But yeah, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna hop off because I have to make strawberry syrup from homemade strawberries. I have to make strawberry syrup, and I need to dice a bunch of strawberries and get my French toast mixture ready to go. I need to get the brioche bread out. Yeah, so I'll have a few things to do before the lady gets home, so that when she gets here, she can have a nice, hot French toast with strawberry milk and strawberry syrup and fresh sliced strawberries. And I'll maybe throw some raspberries or blueberries on top as well. And just give her like a really fun breakfast for supper end to her birthday. Sauerkraut pie, I'm German, but I'm not that German. You have to be very German to enjoy sauerkraut pie, because it is not pleasant, not even a little bit. Alright, ads are done. Cheers, my friends. I like sauerkraut when mixed with mashed potatoes and baked. Oh, interesting. That could be an alright. Yeah, and I'll have to. I'm gonna be getting off of all work for the evening, which is funny because we just recently had a huge influx of people come through the tavern, so I have a ridiculous number of messages and comments that I am behind on, but they're all gonna have to wait because my lady requires my attention. So the lady will get her dotings, and then I'll be back on to work tomorrow. Alright friends, let's finish this chapter. Looks like our ads are done over on the Twitch portal. We have just a few pages left in this chapter, and then we will be on. Alright, where were we? Ah! Here you are. We're getting worried about you. How was your walk? I wonder what put him in such a good mood. Why doesn't he just come out and ask how Saphira is? Pleasant, but the guards almost locked me outside the city. Teum is big. I had trouble finding this house. Geode chuckled. When you have seen Drosleona, Gilead, or even Gorsta, you won't be so easily impressed by this small ocean city. I like it here, though, when it's not raining. Teum is really quite beautiful. Eragon turned to Brom. Do you have any idea how long we'll be here? Brom spread his palms upward. That's hard to tell. Depends on whether or not we can get to the records and how long it will take us to find what we need. We'll all have to help. It will be a huge job. I'll talk with Bran tomorrow. Let's see if he'll let us examine the records. I don't think I'll be able to help, Eragon said, shifting uneasily. Why not? Asked Brom. There will be plenty of work for you. Eragon lowered his head. I can't read. Brom straightened in disbelief. Ingaro never taught you? He knew how to read? Asked it. That's what he knew how to read? Asked Eragon, puzzled. Geode watched them with interest. Of course he did, snorted Brom. The proud fool. What was he thinking? Should have realized that he wouldn't have taught you. He probably considered it an unnecessary luxury. Brom scowled and pulled at his beard angrily. This sets back my plans, not irreparably. Just have to teach you how to read. Won't take long if you put your mind to it. Eragon winced. Brom's lessons were usually intense and brutally direct. How much more can I learn at one time? I suppose it's necessary, he said ruefully. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. There's much you can learn from books and scrolls, said Geode. He gestured at the walls. These books are my friends, my companions, and they make me laugh and cry and find meaning in life. It sounds intriguing, admitted Eragon. Always the scholar, aren't you? Asked Brom. Geode shrugged. Not anymore, I'm afraid. I've degenerated into a bibliophile. A what? Asked Eragon. One who loves books, explained Geode, and resumed conversing with Brom. Bored, Eragon scanned the shelves. An elegant book set with gold studs caught his attention. He pulled it off the shelf and stared at it curiously. It was bound in black leather and carved with mysterious runes, and Eragon ran his finger over the cover and savored its cool smoothness. The letters inside were printed in a reddish glossy ink. He let the pages slip past his fingers. A column of script set off from the regular lettering caught his eyes. The words were long and flowing, full of graceful lines and sharp points. Eragon took the book to Brom. What is this? He asked, pointing at the strange writing. Brom looked at the page closely and raised his eyebrows in surprise. Geode, you expanded your collection. Where did you get this? I haven't seen one in ages. Geode strained his neck to see the book. Oh, yes. The Domia Ab Weirder. A man came through here a few years ago and tried to sell it to a trader down by the wharves. Fortunately, I happened to be there and was able to save the book, along with his neck. He didn't have a clue what it was. Sword, Eragon, as you should pick up this book. The Dominance of Faith, said Brom.
Of all the items in this house, it's probably worth the most. It's a detailed and complete history of Alagasia, starting long before the elves landed here and ending a few decades ago. The book is very rare. It's the best of its kind. When it was written, the Empire decried it as blasphemy and burned the author, Heslant the monk. I didn't think any copies still existed. The lettering you asked about is from the ancient language.
What does it say? Said Eragon. It took Brom a moment to read the writing.
It's part of an elven poem that tells of the years they fought the dragons. This excerpt describes one of their kings, Caranthor, as he rides into battle. Elves love this poem and tell it regularly, though you need 3 days to do it properly, so that they won't repeat the mistakes of the past. At times they sing it so beautifully, it seems the very rocks will cry.
Eragon returned to his chair, holding the book gently. It's amazing. It's amazing that a man who's dead can talk to people through these pages. As long as this book survives, his ideas live. I wonder if it contains any information about the Razak. He browsed through the book while Brom and Geod spoke. Hours passed, and Eragon began to drowse. Out of pity for his exhaustion, Geod bid them good night. The butler will show you to your rooms. And on the way upstairs, the servant said, if you need any assistance, use the bell pull next to the bed. He stopped before the cluster of 3 doors, bowed, and then backed away. As Brom entered the room on the right, Eragon asked, can I talk to you?
You just did. Come in anyways.
Eragon closed the door behind himself. Saphira and I had an idea. Is there... Brom stopped him with a raised hand and pulled the curtain shut over the window.
When you talk of such things, you do well to make sure no unwelcome ears are present.
Sorry, Eragon berating himself for the slip. Anyway, is it possible to conjure up an image of something you can't see? Brom sat at the edge of his bed.
What are you talking about is called scrying. It is quite possible and extremely helpful in some situations, but it has a major drawback. You can only observe people and places and things that you've already seen. If you were to scry the Razak, you'd see them all right, but not their surroundings. There are other problems as well. Let's say you wanted to view a page in a book, one that you'd already seen. You could only see the page in the book if it were open to it. If the book were closed, when you tried this, the page would appear completely black.
Why can't you view objects that you haven't seen? Asked Eragon. Even with those limitations, he realized scrying could be very useful. I wonder if I could view something leagues away and use magic to affect what was happening there.
Because, said Brom patiently, to scry, you have to know what you're looking at, where to direct your power. Even if a stranger was to describe you, it would still be nigh impossible to view him. Not to mention the ground and whatever else might be around him. You have to know what you're going to scry before you can scry it. Does that answer your question?
Eragon thought for a moment. But how is it done? Do you conjure up an image in thin air?
Not usually,
said Brom, shaking his white head.
That takes more energy than projecting it onto a reflective surface, like a pool of water or a mirror. Some riders used to travel everywhere they could, trying to see as much as possible. Then, whenever war or some other calamity occurred, they would be able to view events throughout Alagasia.
May I try it? Asked Eragon. Brom looked at him carefully.
No, not now. You're tired. Scrying takes a lot of strength. I will tell you the words, but you must promise not to attempt it tonight. I'd rather you wait until we leave Terim. I have more to teach you.
Eragon smiled. I promise. Very well. Brom bent over and very quietly whispered, Draumer Kopa, into Eragon's ear. Eragon took a moment to memorize the words. Maybe after we've left Tyrion. TM, I can scry Roran. I would like to know how he's doing. I'm afraid that the Razak might go after him. I don't mean to frighten you, but that's a distinct possibility, said Brom. Although Roran was gone most of the time the Razak were in Carver Hall. I'm sure that they asked questions about him. Who knows? May have even met him while they were in Tharen's Ford. Either way, I doubt their curiosity is sated. They're on the loose after all. The king is probably threatening them. A terrible punishment if you aren't found. They get frustrated enough. They'll go back and interrogate Roran. It's only a matter of time. If that's true, then the only way to keep Roran safe is to let the Razak know where I am so that they'll come after me instead. No, that won't work either. You're not thinking, admonished Brom. If you can't understand your enemies, how can you expect to anticipate them? If you expose your location, the Razak would still chase Roran. Do you know why? Eragon straightened and tried to consider every possibility. Well, if I stay hidden long enough, they might get frustrated and capture Roran to force me to reveal myself. If that didn't work, they'd kill him just to hurt me. Also, if I become a public enemy of the Empire, they might use him as bait to catch me. And if I met with Roran and they found out about it, they would just torture him and find out where I was. Very good. You figured that out quite nicely, said Brom. But what's the solution? I can't let him be killed. Brom clasped his hands loosely. The solution is quite obvious. Roran is going to have to learn how to defend himself. That may sound hard-hearted, but as you pointed out, you cannot risk meeting with him. You may not remember this. You were half delirious at the time, but when you left Carver Hall, I told you I had left a warning letter with Roran, so he won't be totally unprepared for danger. If there's any sense at all, the Razak show up in Carver Hall. Take my advice and flee. I don't like this, said Eragon unhappily. Ah, but you forget something. What? He demanded. There is some good in all of this. The king cannot afford to have a rider roaming around that he does not control. General Batorix is the only known rider alive beside yourself. But he would like another under his command. Or when he tries to kill you or Roran, he will offer you a chance to serve him. Unfortunately, if it gets close enough to make that proposition, it'll be far too late for you to refuse and still live. You call that some good? It's all that's protecting Roran. As long as the king doesn't know which side you've chosen, he won't risk alienating you by harming your cousin. Keep that firmly in mind. The Razak killed Garo, but I think it was an ill-considered decision on their part. From what I know of Galbatorix, he would not have approved it unless he gained something from it. But how will I be able to deny the king's wishes when he's threatening me with death? Asked Eragon sharply. Brom sighed. He went to his nightstand and dipped his fingers in the basin of rose water. Galbatorix wants your willing cooperation. Without that, you're worse than useless to him. So the question becomes, if you're ever faced with his choice, are you willing to die for what you believe in? For that is the only way you will deny him. The question hung in the air. Brom finally said, It's a difficult question, and not one you can answer until you're faced with it. Keep in mind that many people have died for their beliefs. It's actually quite common. The real courage is in living and suffering for what you believe. And so ends chapter 25 of Eragon Our final chapter for the evening, my friends. Stormy! Hello, my friends. Have a fantastic night, Castle Una and the Furcudes. Good night, Esther. Good night. On my birthday, only Elsie was there to celebrate with me. I'm not a real fan of birthdays, to be honest. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So you're a picky pickle. That could be said, Clifford. That could be said. I like sauerkraut. Oh, I already read that. Finally off work in time to catch story time. Well, I'm glad you made it in, Stormy. I hope that you're doing well. Jazz, hello, good to see you. Alright, friends, we're going to do one song. Oh, I missed the call from the lady. Hello, my darling. God nuts, I've got the view. Says good night, Jody. I am still streaming, as a matter of fact. I'm hopping off right now. Yeah, there were some things that happened, so, you know, it is what it is. About how far out are you? Okay. So you got about 1 million happy birthdays, by the way. And everyone says hello. She says hello, and thank you very much for the birthday wishes, everyone. Well, I am sorry that I missed your call. My phone, for some reason, did not ring. I must have had it still on silent. Well, then I will see you presently, my darling. Alright, just be safe and I'll see you in a little bit. I love you. Kisses. Bye. Alright, you guys, I have time to give you guys one song before I need to hop off and make the lady her food. Or prepare to make her food, I should say. 1,000,001 happy year around the burning bowl, yes indeed. You know what? We haven't done Weller Man in a while, Matty. That's a good one. That is a good one. Oh, glad I made it in before the end. Well, thank you, Jazz. I will make sure that the lady gets a happy birthday from you, Jazz, as well, when she gets in. So yeah, I agree. I think that Matty's suggestion of Wellerman is apt and appropriate. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's see, who was it? Matty, thank you for 70 streams, and Bear, thank you for 70 streams. You guys are legends. I appreciate you. Can we do the pants song about the Scottish guy with no pants? Donald, where's your trousers? Sure. We'll do Wellerman and Donald's where's your trousers. Those will be the only ones, though, because I have to hurry. The lady's going to be here presently. So let's do Wellerman first. Okay. You guys ready to join me? Get together, let's do Wellerman. There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of that ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew up her bow, dip down, oh blow, my bully boys blow. Ha! Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her a right whale bore. Captain called all hands and swore he'd take that whale in tow. Ha! Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Da 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 da. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's tail came up and caught her. All hands to the side harpooned and fought her. Oh, when she dived down low, ha! Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum.
One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. No line was cut, no whale was freed, the captain's mind was not of greed, but he belonged to the whaleman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Ha! Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack, then tight once more. All boats were lost, there were only 4, but still that whale did go. Ha! Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on, the line's not cut, and the whale's not gone. The wellerman makes his irregular call to encourage the captain, crew, and all. Ha! Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Soon may the wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Thank you for the song, my friends. Absolutely lovely. And next we're going to do Donald, Where's Your Trousers? So for any of you who've never heard, Wellerman and Donald are cheering. I agree, Bear. I agree. For any of you who've never heard Donald Where's Your Trousers, Donald Where's Your Trousers is a song about a Scottish guy. So it's basically a song sung by a Scottish guy about a Scottish guy who's going to England making fun of the way that the English say trousers. It is a very meta joke. Deeply entrenched in how much everybody in the UK hates each other. But it's a light-hearted hating of each other in this particular story, so let's get into it. Join me if you know the words. I've just come down from the Isle of Skye. I'm not very big and I'm awful shy. The lassies shout as I go by. Donald, where's your trousers? Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets in my kilt I'll go. All the lassies cry hello. Donald, where's your trousers? A lassie took me to a ball, and it was slippery in the hall, and I was feared that I might fall. For I nae had on trousers. Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets in my kilt I'll go. All the lassies cry hello. Donald, where's your trousers? Now I went down to London town to have a little fun in the underground. And the lassies turned their heads around, saying, Donald, where's your trousers? Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low. Through the streets in my kilt I'll go. All the lassies cry hello. Donald, where's your trousers? To wear the kilt is my delight. It's not wrong, I know it's right. The Highlanders, they would get a fright if they saw me in trousers. Let 'em blow high, let 'em blow low. Through the streets in my kilt I'll go. All the lassies cry hello. Donald, where's your trousers? The lassies love me, every one. Well, let them catch me if they can. For you cannae put the brakes on a Highland man. And I don't wear the trousers. Let the wind blow high, let the wind blow low.
through the streets in my kilt I'll go. All the lassies cry hello. Donald, where's your trousers? Donald, where's your trousers? Absolutely exceptional, my friend. Rockhound, how's it going, my friend? Hope all is well. All is going well. You're catching me right at the end of Storytime today, but it is wonderful to see you, mate. I'm glad that you're doing well, or at least I hope you're doing well. But it is the lovely lady of the tavern's birthday today, so I have to hop off and get her birthday dinner ready, because she's just now coming home. So this is where I'm going to part with all of you. Thanks, Castle, you're awesome. I appreciate you, Jacob. I'm glad that you enjoy yourself, my friend. So, friends, if you are over on the Twitch portal, we're going to raid out to share the love. But for everyone else, this is where we're going to end for tonight. Neko, I'm glad you joined us. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Jazz, always lovely to see you. I will wish the lady happy birthday from all of you and give her all of your love. Also, Mom has decided your name is Fortress. I'm fair enough. Have a great night and wish her happy birthday from me. I certainly will, Rockhound. I will make sure that she knows you all have wished her a wonderful birthday. No sauerkraut for her, that's not birthday food. No sauerkraut for her. That's such a funny song with the kilt traditionally. They called it regimental in the UK and we called it commando. Right. Oh, and thank you to all of our barkeeps. Thank you, Baird. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. Well met. Good night, all. Good night, Jazz. Good night, Batty. I mean, at least she's close. Yeah, they're close enough. All right, my friends. While it is so dreadfully sad that this is where we must part for the evening, we will gather again as soon as you all seek a story, and we will be back with live story time again on Thursday with Prince of the Blood, which is really heating up. Some insane things happened last week, and I cannot wait to see what happens this week. So, until then, my friends, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty, and I will see you the next time we all gather here in the tavern. Good night, my friends, and rest well.
The fire smokes black when she walks through the door. A shadow that stretches across the stone floor. She carries the staff, she carries the sight, a piece of the morning in the heart of the night.
Satan, Satan, the staff hits the wood where the kings used to stand. Fate is a needle in a trembling hand. You asked for the rune, you asked for the flame, but you're too weak to carry the weight of your name.
The thread is unweaving, the truth is bereaving, the vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. She sees the high hall, she sees it in ash, the glint of the gold, the sting of the lash.